Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Carmen with Elemental Designs here with you guys. Today I'm going to be creating an art journal page. This art journal page pretty much is going to have some stenciling, it's going to have some modeling paste, and you're also going to see me draw a face from scratch. What I'm doing now is pretty much prepping my page. As you guys know, this is a sketchbook, so it's not really made for mediums and or paints. So here I'm just kind of using some gesso from Decoart and just making sure that I use my palette knife and just spreading that nice and thin all across the page. Depending on how thick or how thin your paper is, you might want to give this 2 coats. Usually I do the 1, but sometimes, if you really want to make sure that your page is well covered, then you might want to go ahead and use 2. These are some pages here by Recollections. And I'm just going to use that a little bit of that just to create some kind of a background. You might see some of that at the end, you might not. This is just normal practice in mixed media to add a little bit of collage elements to your background. So here you just kind of see me using Decoupage's Decoupage's gloss glue. And I'm using this to adhere all of those little pieces down, and again applying everything with my palette knife and also spreading it out with my palette knife. I found that this palette knife is really good for spreading your glues as well as adhering your papers. It does a really good job of getting everything down nice and smooth without any air bubbles. So I use this palette knife throughout this project to adhere all the things down. And you'll also see me use it to apply some paints here and there, moving forward. And pretty much I'm just adhering some random pieces in no kind of, normal order. I'm just, wherever I feel like putting them down, that's pretty much where I put them down, because I know that at the end of the day, most of this is not really going to show. It's just a matter of getting them in there. And for today, I decided to kind of go with a very quick, well, not so much quick, I'm not going to say that, because this actually took me 4 hours of real time, which you're going to see in 35 minutes. So I did speed this up quite a bit. And I might actually even speed it up a little bit more. I'm not sure yet. It depends how this, how this goes. But yes, this is 4 hours of actual recording time. And now that my page is dry, I'm going to go ahead and just add some stamping here and there. You're also going to see me use a stencil from the Dollar Tree, which is the Jot brand, which I just picked up the other day. So I wanted to try those out. All of these paints that you see me using here are in the colors of Cobalt Teal Hue, Primary Magenta, and Titanium White. I stuck with these 3 colors, and these are from the Decoart media line. So pretty much everything that I create on this page, at least 99% of it all is going to be primarily these 3 colors, and just the mixing of these 3 colors to create different hues and different colors. So pretty much after I went ahead and applied this, kind of dripped this down and applied it with the palette knife, I'm also going to go ahead and add some little drops of paint in the same colors, and just do that throughout both of the pages. Again, just trying to create that background element, trying to create that nice flow, and add all the colors in there. I normally don't stick to just any 2 or 3 colors. Usually I pull out a lot of colors, so this is actually something that's very new for me. But I do think that the page overall came out really nice once it was all said and done. And this was a lot of fun, especially splashing all of this paint around. Is very exciting. Not for many, but it is for me. So here I'm just applying just some of what I have left over, and just applying it all around the edges. And it's okay if some of my paints blend, because it wasn't dry all the way. And here I'm using a piece of plastic acetate to just kind of splotch those down. It'll help it dry faster, but I still was able to retain a lot of the actual little, splashes that I created on the page. And because I'm using the glossy finish on the glue, there is quite a glare on one of the pages because that's the side where my light is. So I do apologize if that is bothersome for some. So here I'm going to go ahead and I'm using gesso to start creating the base of the face that I'm going to be painting on. And I didn't pre-sketch this or anything. I just kind of went for it. And just started kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do. At this point in time, I still wasn't sure what the features that I was going to put on her face were going to be. I didn't know if I was going to have her eyes open or her eyes closed, or anything like that. I really didn't know what kind of hair I was going to put on her, or if she was even going to have hair, or what I was going to do. But I just started kind of playing with it. So this is the process that you're going to see me kind of go. It's just more or less playing and just getting the initial start of her face kind of going, kind of letting me know where everything is going to go. And I went ahead and opted to keep her eyes closed, because the whole page itself to me has like this very mystical kind of vibe. So I kind of wanted to represent that in in the state that she was in. And I don't mean the state as in the country and state, I mean the state of mind. So yes, so here I am just kind of blending out, blending together different colors, just putting them together again with those three primary colors. Well, they're not primary colors, but with these, the three colors that I mentioned, which is the cobalt teal hue, the primary magenta, and the titanium white. And just getting all different kinds of lavenders and purples by combining these colors together. And this is colors that I normally would not even think to, go into creating, any kind of face or anything like that. Because again, I try to, well, not that I try to, I'm not that good at, creating kind of whimsical type, people and or things. So again, this is just me kind of practicing and just, going for tones that are not natural to me, that don't feel natural to me. And just playing with the darks and the lights, just to see how it all kind of comes out. And I do spend quite an amount of time just working this face to the point where I have it like I like it. Initially, I was gonna leave it kind of light, so it won't change too much at the beginning from where it is now. But once I move a little bit deeper into the painting itself, everything starts to kind of change. And as you start seeing things a little bit different, as things start to come out, from the shadows or from the lights, then you start kind of adjusting what your painting is looking like overall. And this is just all from thought. Like I said, I didn't trace anything. I didn't, draw anything beforehand. I just kind of went into it with an open mind just to see kind of like what would happen. Some things work, some things don't work, but you just keep it kind of going. And I really do love to play with paint. Unfortunately, sometimes that creates mud for me, but luckily these three colors don't create mud. They just create lavender if you play with it too much. But for the most part, I really did enjoy kind of working through this whole page, and just seeing, how these three colors, how many shades of purple I could get out of the combination of these three colors, and just applying it everywhere. So overall, again, it's just having fun. It's just, kind of playing around with your paints. I don't personally believe that you have to have any level of expertise to play around in your art journal. It's all about experimenting and trying new things and learning new things. And I definitely did learn a lot just from playing around with these three colors. And, that's a good way to start if you're very limited, like on your paints. Pick three colors that can blend into other, decent looking colors. And start playing around with that and just see where it takes you. Play with the different levels of tint and tone on those, with mixing those paints. The nose is always like one of those things that, for some reason, I want to say that I struggle with it, even though it does seem fairly easy to kind of create for me. But I always seem to struggle a little bit with that, especially when it comes to how wide, or how refined, if you will, the nose is going to be. I think for this picture here, I actually made the nose too close to the lips. or I made the lips too close to the nose. That her lips could have definitely gone down at least a few centimeters, if you will, to be in better proportion. But you know, it is what it is. And overall, like I said, I did like kind of how it came out by the time that everything was said and done. I really do enjoy kind of painting these kinds of faces. Um, I seem to have a type of face that I tend to either paint and or draw. They always seem to be somewhat similar. And as much as I try to kind of break away from that habit, it always comes out kind of the same. Here, what you saw me use is a Memento marker. And the color that I used was Sweet Plum, which kind of seemed to go with it. I also went ahead and used grape jelly for some, but I stuck more with the plum color, with the sweet plum, because it just matched a little bit better for what I wanted to do. Now, my initial idea was to make a collage, like make her hair a collage. So here you see me kind of going for that look of making her hair kind of like a collage. And I'm here like, okay, I'm going to attach this piece here and I'm going to attach that piece there. And, you know, that's going to start everything. And yes, even though she looks like a cone head, I left it alone until it was completely dried. And then I just tore off that top piece, which you won't see me do on camera. So here I'm just using some of the same papers that I used in the background. Again, you know, trying to figure out, okay, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do this hair. Let me just see, you know, kind of what comes out. So I started attaching all these different pieces just to kind of get a feel for where this is actually going to go. At this point in time, I felt satisfied with her face. I felt satisfied more or less with how the whole painting was coming along, with the exception of what was going on with her hair. But again, all of this will be subject to change, because those of you that see me create know that I start all the way on one side and end up all the way on the other side of the world. That's usually how my paintings evolve, mostly because I never really have a plan as far as how I want things to look, or, you know, what I'm going to use. I have an idea, and based on that idea, I kind of start executing you know, certain tasks, right? You start layering this, layering that, and just adding paint here, adding paint there. And then eventually things kind of, you know, they evolve. So kind of once I added this piece and then the piece that I'm going to put next to it, then things started to kind of make a little bit more sense to me. I'm like, okay, this is kind of looking like bangs in the hair. So I'm kind of digging that. But I still felt like I needed to do more. So I'm going to let that dry. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and use that stencil that I spoke about, which is a Dollar Tree stencil. And very cool, by the way, very good quality, by the way, overall. And what I'm using is Decoart's modeling paste, but in black, which is one of the new products that I just received. And I absolutely love it because I can actually see it. So I kind of start putting this kind of everywhere. And then once I did that, even though I love the stencil, then I got lost again. I'm like, okay, now that I've added all of this, what am I going to do? Initially, my idea was like, you know what, I'm going to use the stencil and I'm going to create this, you know, awesome flowing hair. And it's pretty much going to be the stencil is going to create the hair for me. And I won't have to do nothing else to this. But once I started stenciling it all, yeah, I got so lost again. Because then it became too much stencil for me, and I'm like, shoot, now what am I gonna do? Right? Like, how am I gonna fix this? So I let this dry overnight. I was working on this piece since yesterday evening, and then I kind of let this dry overnight. And then when you see me pick up from that is here I'm just trying to clean off my stencil. But when you see me pick up from that is once it's dry and it's the morning time. So here we are, and it's pretty much all dry now. So again, with the three colors, I'm going to continue to use the same three colors, at least for most of this. And here I start trying to figure out what I'm going to do as far as this hair. And I want everything to kind of be, you know, within the same color spectrum of these three colors that I'm using. So I just kind of start mixing those together and just seeing, you know, how deep of a color I can get, how light of a color I can get. And initially I just used the red and the blue to start it off, but then I start incorporating more white, and then I start, you know, adding more colors. And eventually I will end up actually using primary cayenne, which is also a blue. It's like a true blue type of a color. I will eventually incorporate that into it as well, because I figured it's still in the same kind of spectrum of being blue. And I start kind of using that as well, just to darken up certain areas that I feel like I need to darken up. So here's when everything kind of started coming together for me with the hair. I started kind of, you know, deciding what I wanted to do, and I wanted her hair to kind of flow off on one side, like the breeze was hitting her from the side, and just kind of let those hairs kind of go off in a swirl. And again, mixing on some parts, not mixing, just kind of loading the brush with both colors at the same time, or loading the brush with one color and then go just, you know, double dipping, if you will, into the next color. And more or less just kind of going ahead and just adding just all these kind of little whimsy little hairs that are kind of curling all over the place. And yeah, that's pretty much what you see me doing here. It's just kind of going into it. Now here I'm going to add some white, and I'm going to start, you know, creating some kind of highlights to some of her hair. I really did like how her bangs came out at the end. I played with it so much that I eventually got it to a point where I was like, oh, cool. Like, it looks like she has individual hair strands, and that was, to me, was pretty cool. I normally don't achieve that effect. It's a little bit harder for me to achieve that effect. But on this one, using those three colors, it actually simplified it for me. Because they're all just variations, lighter or dark, of the same, you know, color sequence. So that actually worked out for me really, really well. And you're going to see her hair kind of evolve from not having nothing kind of going on to like all these different tones just kind of showing through. And it's really cool because you get the mixture of the white and you get the mixture of the white and the magenta that create like this really pretty pink, and then you have the mixture of the red, of the magenta and the cobalt teal that also create this really pretty purple. And depending on the intensity, you know, you mix the white in, then you can get all these different, you know, you get so many different colors just from these three. So it was really, really cool for me to watch, and I think that's probably part of the reason why it lasted me 4 hours to finish it, because I just didn't want to stop. I just wanted to keep adding paint, and I keep looking for reasons to keep adding paint, keep adding paint, keep adding paint, just because I really did enjoy just watching all these colors just come out of, you know, such a simple formula, if you will. So it was really, really fun. I really enjoy painting. It's so relaxing for me, which I say all the time. You guys have pretty much heard me say it. Now, what I didn't do on this painting, which I honestly feel like maybe I should have, and I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say below. I felt like I needed to add something right to where the center of her hair is. Not necessarily on her bangs, but like right over it. I felt like I should have added something, some kind of element there. What do you guys think about that? You know, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are. But overall, like I said, I really did enjoy. Just, you can see all these hairs just kind of coming to life, and just looking so cool. The process just looks so cool. And for some reason, I noticed that things on camera look very different than how they look like in real life. So I kept kind of using, you know, the feed that I was getting on my laptop to kind of just see a different side of things, you know, like how you guys would see it. And just adding things here and there that I felt like, okay, you know, it looks this way. And, you know, when I'm having it in my face, it looks very different than just by looking at it on the screen. So I kept going back and forth, just adding, again, just different colors. And here's where I incorporated at this point in time the primary cayenne, which is that true blue color. And here I'm just, again, mixing the magenta with the you know, with the true blue color, just to get a darker tone of you know, of purple. But overall, I must say that I really did enjoy the mix of the teal with the magenta a lot better than when I incorporated you know, the other one, the primary cayenne, into the mix. So here I wanted to kind of create like this look of her hair is parting, but it wasn't really working to me for some reason. I kept losing it, so I just gave up on it because I just kept losing it. I'm like, you know what? I'll just focus on everything else, and hopefully that's not too much of an eyesore. Which is why I think that I should have definitely added something there, maybe a butterfly, you know, something, you know, drawn a crown or whatever the case may be. But I should have put something there, just not to leave it so kind of open. Because I have the way that I look at her is like she's looking down, like her head's tilted kind of forward almost, and then the whole look of her just kind of reminded me of just like meditation, you know, and contemplation, and just going into deep thought. Um, so pretty much that's kind of you know, how I took this whole thing to be, and that's more or less how I finished off the painting, with that state of mind of just I'm contemplating, you know, who am I, why am I here, what is the purpose, you know, all of those things. I felt like those are the kind of things that she would be thinking about. So yes. I hope that you guys overall are enjoying watching this. Let me know if this is a little slow for you guys, if you would like to see me speed the videos up more, or if you would like to see me slow the videos down more. I don't do much editing in the sense of I don't cut out most of the things that I do. If you see it, it's because it's pretty much the sequence in which I did it. If I do interrupt the video, you know, add clips together, it's because I literally took some time off and I went to do other things, and then I came back to it, or I had to let things dry. And you know, just like watching paint dry takes a long time, right? So for the most part, just let me know, you know, if the long videos, the short videos, you know, what's your thing. I've tried to do pretty much mostly voiceovers as of lately, because I know that you guys enjoy that a lot more. Plus, the music thing is not really the greatest here. Unfortunately, you're very limited what you can use, and you know your voice is free, so you can go right ahead. So here I kind of went a little nuts, right? I went a little crazy, and I went ahead and started adding with a baby wipe, with a dry baby wipe. I just kind of started adding more depth into the hair by going into just some of the remainder color that I had here on my palette, because I'm thinking I'm almost done. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just add whatever I have here. So I actually had to end up fixing that. I really didn't like how it looked overall, and I ended up going ahead and mixing more of the original colors and just trying to fix all of that back up. But I started to I let it dry for a little bit before I went back into it, just to make sure that, you know, I'm just not repeating the same thing over and over again, and you know, I actually have something that I can go ahead and just lighten up. And that's the great thing about actually being able to you know, Mod Podge your page, if you will, that you can always go into it with a baby wipe and just kind of clean off any little thing that you don't like, which you guys will see me clean off here and there, just in areas that I really didn't appreciate too much. So I definitely recommend that, especially if you are new and you're still not 100% sure of what you're trying to do and how you want to do it. Mod Podging your page, you know, adding any kind of glue over it and kind of sealer will definitely allow you to go into certain areas before they're too dry and wipe those things right away like it never really happens. So that's very cool. So here I'm just trying to add some shadows and some lights, you know, some light areas to her neck, and I'm now extending the hair because I have all of this open space behind her. So I have to fill in most of that space in to make it look a little bit more realistic. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just fill in a lot of those areas, so that it shows that it gives you the illusion that she has hair behind her head, not just on the top and nothing on the back. So I'm just gonna go into that and just, you know, add more hair here and there. and just fill it in with just, again, the same color mixture, just adding lighter and darker mixes of the same three colors. Now, I kind of felt at some point that her neck and her hair was kind of blending in together, so here I'm just going to use some of that titanium white to kind of go into her neck, and just some of her face later on, to just add and break away her, you know, some of her features and her face from her hair. And again, just starting to play with her face, because as I told you earlier, her face was not going to stay that way. Once her neck came out so dark, I'm like, okay, she looks very weird now. So I had to kind of go back into and do some color corrections, if you will, and started again playing with, you know, with the paints. But overall, I just think it's a big excuse on my part. I just wanted to play with paint. So pretty much that's what I'm doing. I'm just playing with the paint, adding paint here, adding paint there, mixing the same three colors. You're going to see me refill this palette, like, I don't even know how many times with those colors. It's good to put a little bit only, because acrylics dry really fast. So even though you have a lot of acrylic on your, you know, on your palette, they dry quick. So it's better to start off with a little bit and work off little bit by little bit. That way you're not wasting paint, than to pour a whole bunch just because you're going to use a whole bunch, and then have it dry and get all mucky, and then you'll end up having like all these little pieces of dry acrylic paint pretty much getting stuck to your, you know, to your painting. So that's pretty much what you guys are going to see me do, is just kind of refill a whole bunch of times. And again, just playing with how she's going to look. I needed to have some kind of highlight on her nose, even though she was going to be kind of looking downward. I'm not really great at, you know, light sourcing, if you will. I still have a hard time with the light is coming from this way, so the highlights should be here type of a situation. I'm sure many of you guys struggle with the same thing. So I do tend to sometimes overdo it and just put highlights everywhere in every single direction, which is also something that I need to kind of work on a little bit more moving forward. So yes, more or less you guys are going to see me here, kind of just darkening up some of her features, darkening up some of those colors, adding paint little bit by little bit, so that I can blend them in a little bit easier. And I'm hoping to achieve a smooth transition between colors, between shades really, so that it doesn't look so, you know, she doesn't look crazy. She doesn't look like a crazy Sleeping Beauty, right? So I lose it sometimes, but then I regain it. And that's the good thing about using paints a little bit at a time. And definitely the good thing about being in the same, using the same three colors. It's easier to gain it back that way. If I had a whole bunch of other colors incorporated into this, I'm not so confident I would have been able to ever bring her back. She probably would have ended up looking very different. You know, things would have definitely changed. And I tried to go from like working on one side to then working on the other. And sometimes you'll see me kind of go back and forth, back and forth. Sorry about that, you guys, but I'm not going to cut that out because I just kind of had to get up real quick. I'm just going to leave it at there. So, again, you guys are going to see me kind of just playing with the highlights, you know, adding shadows, playing with highlights. And by adding shadows, pretty much I'm using the same color, just in the darkest tone that I can possibly get it, which is like the closest to a plum that I can possibly get it. And I say plum because the Memento marker, pretty much, that's the color. That's the darkest I was able to achieve. It's something that was very, very similar to the tint of that marker. And I run out of paint a lot, I noticed, because I do so much blending, so much adding here, And most of this was done with a pretty dry brush, I'm gonna say. I really didn't wet it much. I did spray it down. I did spray down the palette with water on one of the little wells, but for the most part, I go into most of this very dry. And here you'll see that that little spot that I just dipped it into, that was a little bit of water, just to get the brush to kind of work a little bit better with me. But overall, I didn't want it to be, I didn't want to have it too wet. So I worked with a really dry brush for most of this, most of this process. I just felt like it helped me to blend better. The fact that it was dry helped me to blend better. Where even though when the brush is wet, you can blend really well as well. For me, it just gave me a different effect, and I really did like the drier brush a lot more versus the wetter brush doing this kind of process. And I was just double dipping into other colors anyway, so that's pretty much what I kept doing. I just kept dipping from one color to the next color and not really cleaning my brush in between, because I was still working with the same colors and the same layers. So that worked out pretty well for me. And here I'm kind of playing again with her lips, because now I have to bring everything back in and kind of make everything kind of match. I wasn't really liking too much the shape of her lips in the center, so I was trying to work with that a little bit. I wanted her to have a nice pouty kind of lips. Like I wanted her bottom lip to be kind of bigger than her top lip. So I was kind of going for that look, originally. But then I just didn't like the way that the two lips kind of met, so I started working with that a little bit more. Until I kind of got that the way that I wanted. So that's what you guys are gonna see me do later on. And here again, I'm just bringing in the marker, which is not really designed for this kind of work. I just use everything I have on mixed media. Literally, I find a way to incorporate every single piece of art supply that I own into mixed media some way, somehow. Um, so I'm just kind of using this. Plus, it matched really nicely. I'm just kind of using this to just add all of this stuff in there. I add all these little different highlights and stuff like that. And here you kind of see me refine the nose a little bit. Now I'm adding her nostrils in officially, because they were kind of lost there for a while. And just are starting to kind of, create that space around the nose where you have that nice little shadow. And I'm going to go back into the nose in a little bit and really get that nose exactly how I want it, so that it looks really nice and realistic. Now, if you want to see close-up pictures of what this is going to look like, then please go and check me out on Instagram. It's going to be at Design Elemental, which is pretty much the name of my channel, but backwards. So Design Elemental on Instagram, and I usually post up all pics of just the process that I go through from beginning to end, so on and so forth. And you'll be able to see more of the close-up details of what this ends up looking like. So pretty much I'm almost done with this piece, and I just really want to say thank you guys so much for once again checking out my channels, showing me all the support that you do. Definitely for your comments. I so appreciate your thumbs up. So thank you so much for those. And if you want to check me out, you can find me at Design Elemental on Instagram, and follow me there. I'll definitely check you out and hopefully follow you back, right? But for the most part, this has been a really fun process. I'm just playing around here with a little bit of highlights here and there, but this painting is pretty much just about done. At the end, you're going to see me kind of show you really quickly what the painting overall looks. And the words that I end up using is "who am I?" Because again, I feel that she's thinking and that she's contemplating, and she's just wondering all different kinds of things, right, about life in general. So I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you comment, subscribe, thumbs up, and share if you'd like. That would be awesome. And definitely leave me in the comments down below what you guys think as far as, should I have put something in her hair? Should I have added more to this page? Did I overdo it? Did I underdo it? Which stage of it, you like? Pretty much ask me anything you like. Um, and I want to thank you guys again and have an awesome day, you guys. Bye.